chat, or perhaps put your camera on later on. We will record this for some of our learners that can't make it tonight. That's basically it. We want to have this to share with others that couldn't make it in real time. So we are very happy and grateful to have one of our really strong employer partners here to present with us tonight, Alyssa Boucher. She's a senior university relations manager with the Rocket Companies. And I'm sure you've all heard of Rocket Mortgage, but you may not know that Rocket has a whole family of companies and hires student interns and college graduates for a wide variety of positions. As a matter of fact, the Rocket Companies hired about 12 SNHU students and graduates combined last year. So again, they're a tremendous partner for us. Please check out the Rocket Companies and Handshake, which is the SNHU Career Services platform. You can find our Handshake platform at SNHU, SNHU, by the way, SNHU.joinhandshake.com/edu. And of course, there's additional postings that you can find on the Rocket's career site, which is myrocketcareer.com. So Alyssa's going to share some great information with us tonight about traits and characteristics that make workers successful professionals and help them to become great leaders. And everyone here wants to be a successful professional, and many of us want to be leaders. Many of us want to know, how do we get from here to here, and what do companies look for? What do recruiters look for in terms of potential? So Alyssa's going to tell us what the Rocket Companies have figured out are some of the traits that are most valuable in employees that can be cultivated to make them great professionals and future leaders. As Alyssa is presenting, please feel free to share your questions, to enter them in the chat. We'll address as many of them as we can after the presentation portion of the meeting. If we don't get to your question tonight, feel free to follow up with us by emailing us at coccareer@snhu.edu. Before Alyssa begins her presentation, I want to read out loud our access and accommodations policy to you. Your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that present barriers to accessibility, please notify us. Online students can email oac@snhu.edu. Campus students can email cac@snhu.edu. We also invite you, if you have not had direct contact with any of us in the Career Center, to reach out to us. Our general email is cocecareer@snhu.edu. You can call us at 888-672-1458, and you can see our web URL for SNHU Connect. We also have presence on Facebook, Twitter, and again, we have a community, SNHU Connect community that you can tap into as well. We want you to know that we have another great presentation coming up tomorrow. LinkedIn and personal branding for business students will be tomorrow, September 22nd. And I think Dana or Leonard, someone is going to put a link to that in the chat. So if you're interested, you can simply copy that link or click on it now and bookmark it and register for it a little bit later. And next week, Tuesday, September 27th, we're having a career conversation discussing transferable skills as well as career opportunities with the company JB Hunt. And again, there's another link for you that you can click on, bookmark, or copy and save for later. So that's it. Those are our beginning announcements. I am going to stop sharing my screen here and let Alyssa share hers. And Alyssa Boucher will take it over from here, and she will share some great information with us about successful professionals and leaders. Alyssa.
Thank you, Mark. Much appreciated. I am going to ask just for a tad bit of patience as I do the whole awkward. Give me 20 seconds to share my screen. You guys all know how that goes at this point of the virtual work environment. So yes, as mentioned, we are going to go ahead and talk about leadership. We break leadership down into 5 what we call antes, or what you might think of as traits. Because the term leadership is pretty vague when you think about it, right? You can be a leader based on title. Maybe you are involved in student projects, maybe student organization, maybe it's been sports, and there's a captain, right? Or there's a pretty clear leader. But you can also be a leader without the title. And what actually makes a good leader versus what just makes someone a leader who maybe isn't as great? I do have a QR code here. This is for us personally as an attendance sheet. If you would like to send over a copy of your resume as well, you're more than welcome to. However, if you guys wouldn't mind filling out this QR code just so that I can tell my leader, we did this great event with Southern New Hampshire University. We would love to do it again, but this just helps us obviously for attendance purposes, knowing who came, which is super helpful. So let's go ahead and do a warm up and get a little active in the chat. So I'm curious because to my knowledge, none of you were forced to attend today's presentation outside of my career partners. So for the students, what are you hoping to take away from today's presentation? Why did you show up today? And Leonard, I'm going to rely on you to tell me what people are saying in the chat.
You got it. Can I get a code, please? Oh, somebody said, can I get a code, please? Okay. Leadership tips and skills. Shamar says leadership tips and skills.
Anything else out there?
How to become an attractive job candidate.
Ooh, okay.
I like that one.
How to put it on the resume? Absolutely. Let's get one more from the group.
Overall improvement.
Okay. All right. Works for me. Very cool.
Oh, well, got one more. Ooh. Would love to hear how rocket companies consider candidates with no experience.
All right, I can definitely talk about that too. So very good to hear. The things that you guys are looking for is exactly what we're going to be covering today. Learning the traits that we've defined to create leadership. Someone mentioned improvement, so building on the traits that you currently possess. But then also someone mentioned like their resume, right? How do I showcase leadership, maybe in an uncommon place or maybe without that title of a leader? So don't you guys worry, we are going to be covering all of those opportunities. So again, I'm going to ask for some participation in the chat. Right now, what would you say is your definition of leadership? I'm curious as to how you are currently defining leadership. And for awareness, we do own dictionary.com as part of our Rocket companies. I am not looking for the dictionary.com definition. I am looking for your personal definition of leadership.
I have one that says someone who leads from the pack with confidence.
All right, part of the group.
A motivator.
Yes.
Someone said, yep, setting an example, defining goals for your team/department.
Okay.
Someone with the ability to support and empower a team towards a common goal.
Yes.
Servant leadership, empowering others to achieve their personal goals in order to achieve organizational goals.
All right, so this group is definitely all about like a leader who's like part of the team. That's
Yep.
what I'm getting.
Listening to understand, not listening to respond.
Love that. And that is not just for leaders, that is for any good teammate.
Here's
All
another
right.
one. Someone capable of empowering others. I like that one.
Yes. All right. I really love the team mentality that this group has. That makes me excited. So we are going to do breakout sessions, and we are really going to get you guys involved as a group. I told you guys that we have these traits to leadership. These are our 5 traits: driving the culture, building trust, developing people, thinking strategically, and communicating effectively. With that being said, what these mean to you might be different from what they mean to your peers. They are also going to be different at each company as well. How we at Rocket build trust might look very different from any other company that you're also interested in pursuing or that you interact with as a consumer, right? So what we are going to do before I give you how we at Rocket view these leadership traits and build upon these leadership traits, I'm going to kick it to you guys to discuss one trait. So Dana is going to send us into virtual breakout rooms here in a minute, and the name of your virtual breakout room will be one of these traits. What I want you to do during those, Dana, can we do like 7 minutes, I'll say? It's a pretty small group, so we'll do like 5 to 7 minutes for the breakout sessions. What I want you to do in your group is to talk about examples and how you interpret whatever trait you are given based on your breakout room. So if you're given building trust, I want you to obviously talk about what that means to you. Maybe if you've had a positive experience of a leader who's done it very well, maybe you've had the opposite, the negative experience of a leader who didn't do it so well. This is the time for you to just really drive into the trait that your breakout room is assigned. Before I send you into virtual space, though, I want to make sure everyone understands what I'm asking of them. So do we have any questions before you get sent out into your breakout rooms? All right, Leonard, do you see anyone typing a question?
That I do not.
Okay, then I think we're good. Dana, can you send everyone into cyberspace for me?
Absolutely. It's just processing now. Everyone's been assigned. It just takes a second.
No worries. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. So I'm opening the rooms right now. So you might see a countdown.
All right.
Okay. I was wondering if Dana was going to put us in rooms, but
I didn't. Do you guys want to be in rooms?
no,
She
this
was-
is no.
She
No,
was brave.
Yeah.
Hey, Leonard, I really liked Paul LeBlanc. Actually, it was just in a speech he was giving, but in one of his sentences, he said direction, not directions.
Yeah, I
As
saw
far as, like,
that.
types
Yeah.
of leaders.
Oh,
Alyssa, I added it too late, but I really liked that one.
You know what? When I saw that, Pete, that made me think of my time in the military.
Yeah.
Direction, not directions. Yep. I think little we know, I think Paul had either 1 or 2 of his children were in the military. I don't know if you guys knew that.
that's our president, Alyssa, if you're not Paul LeBlanc.
Alicia, I did have one question on leadership that was asked, but I think she was asking a question when you asked about leadership, and she said, "What sets Rocket?" She said, "What sets the leadership at Rocket apart? What sets the leadership apart at Rocket companies
Perfect.
be at other companies. So I guess that's what she was asking me. What's to really set you guys apart from other companies?
Perfect. Are we able to save that till the end?
Yeah. I wanted
Okay.
to just want to know, let you know that was one of the questions, because that you didn't ask the question. What you asked, what was leadership to them, but she asked the question, what is what you set you guys apart at Rocket than other companies?
Perfect. No problem. We will get to that.
So Alyssa, when we were chatting briefly on Monday and you mentioned the antes, I know I was thinking of something. I told you because from your university partner summit, not this year, but in the past. I thought I remembered that someone talked about isms. Do
Yes.
you have isms and antes?
Yes.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy. There are
No.
isms as well as antes.
Yes, rocket lingo is a big thing. Big thing. And actually, when I answer that question about leadership at Rocket, I'm going to definitely be bringing it back to the isms. So
Okay.
don't you worry, that will get
All
dropped
right.
here.
All right.
I actually own stock in Rocket, Alyssa.
Well, thank you.
Not much, but I got you. My buddy works for Quicken in Charlotte. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Over on like the mortgage servicing side, most likely?
yes.
Very cool.
He
Yeah.
actually he got he was a temp initially by a staffing agency. You guys were kind enough to bring him on permanently a couple years ago.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's how I started as well.
Okay.
I mean, that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Back when we hired recruiters temporary, we don't do that anymore. But yeah, associate recruiter used to be a temp role, and then my group converted into full time, and we've started just hiring recruiters straight in. But yeah, we try to do right by our team members.
Cool.
Hey Dana, is there a couple of people that's in this group that's on here now? Are they
It says
not
they're
in?
assigned, so I think they're just on hold. Maybe another meeting opened or something, because
Okay.
they don't. I can't assign them.
Okay.
What does on hold mean? Do you know?
I think
Dana?
they have another meeting going on.
Another meeting on Teams?
Yeah, I can see all their chats on the side, so I'm just giving them some direction. And then I think 7 minutes will bring us to 5:55 Eastern, right?
Yeah.
Are the folks waiting SNHU folks?
I don't think those are SNHU folks.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the only people it says participants to assign are the 5 of us. Me,
Got it.
Alyssa, Mark, Leonard, and Peter.
Alyssa, have we met before? Did you do something with Jim Lindsay in the military career team? Did you do something about a year ago with us on the military side of the house, or you just?
That name sounds extremely familiar.
You look very familiar. I think
Okay.
the military, we work with Rocket as well. I remember doing something with Rocket about a year ago with Jim Lindsay.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you are involved in NACE at all, but we're also involved with NACE at the veteran level too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What does NACE do specifically with veterans?
Oof. So I may butcher it. They have a committee, to my understanding. Maurice Washington, he led it last year. He works at U of M in their student athlete space, but he is a veteran himself. So he was running that group last year. I don't know if he's taking it on this upcoming year, but at conference, he was leading their discussions.
Gotcha.
All right, Dana, we're down to that last minute warning, I'm guessing.
Yep, I just sent an announcement that said about 1 more minute, and then right as it turns to, I'll pull everyone back in. The
Perfect.
communicating effectively, I'm not sure. It looks like one person's still in there but 3 others may have dropped it. So they might join the larger group, or I'm not sure what happened there, but
We'll do our
we shall
best to
see.
make it work.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes. All right, let's bring back up the slides. Beautiful.
All right, I'm going to close the rooms now, so they'll be back shortly.
Perfect. All right, everybody, welcome back. I know everyone is slowly having their technology start to kick in. So what we are going to do now is some group sharing where you guys are going to tell me your definition, how you define this, the thoughts that you guys came up with, and then I will share with you how Rocket views that specific anti or that specific trait. So we'll go ahead and get started with, I'm sure you can guess, the driving the culture group. So my friends who were in that first breakout room driving the culture, can you guys come off mute and tell me what it is that you guys talked about as driving the culture?
We really didn't have a discussion, but we just talked about some of the things that we think make up the culture.
Like what?
So like the atmosphere and communication, were a couple of the things.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else from that group want to add? All right, so how Rocket defines driving the culture. So we have these sayings called isms. There's 20 of these sayings, and they are things like do the right thing, being obsessed with finding a better way, every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses. So for us, we incorporate these values and our defined culture into our everyday lives. This starts during the interviewing process. We see it in orientation. We see it in our trainings as we continue to grow with the company. It's something that is consistently there and present. I will take a step back though and say, as you guys think about companies and you guys think about driving the culture, remember, every company's culture is unique. So driving that culture is going to be unique. So for us, that means these 20 sayings. That means we always have our isms books. That means going through orientation and hearing from leaders how they've utilized the isms. But every company is going to be a little bit different in regards to what driving that culture looks like, because every culture is going to be differently defined. For us, it's very important not just to talk about these isms, but also to hold team members accountable. So isms come into play during our mid-year reviews and our yearly reviews. We talk about the isms that we really felt we were able to do very well at, and maybe some that we have opportunities in too. Obviously not just talking about it, but showing it, right? How do I work with my team members, right? One of them is we are the they. Am I a good teammate? Do my teammates feel supported by me? And again, that's not just lip service, right? That's in actual actions. That's in encouragement. That's in, hey, I saw you did this. I think there's an opportunity here. Or, hey, you're really good at that. Can you teach me how to be better at this? So just really making sure that we're obviously working together in order to encourage and recognizing team members. So in the recruiting section of Rocket Companies, we do what we call Winner's Circle. And what Winner's Circle is that it's a chance for every director to essentially highlight one of their team members who is really driving the culture and living the culture. We actually have one going on right now. I just put in my vote for my teammate yesterday. So we really like to make sure that you're rewarded for also showcasing our culture. But then it's also just being aware as well, right? Especially when you're in the go, go, go of season. Right now, my busy season is events execution. So making sure that as I'm doing my job, that this is still in the back of my mind, right? That I'm still thinking about the isms and I'm still incorporating those into my day-to-day work. So this is how we personally at Rocket Companies define driving the culture. Again, just to reiterate though, driving the culture is going to look different everywhere based on what their culture is. So it's just really, really important to understand, and as you're interviewing places, is this a culture I can get on board with? Is it something I want to hear about consistently, that I want to be a part of, that's part of my mid-year review? Buying into culture is very, very important right off the bat and should be something on the forefront of your minds as you guys are thinking about what companies to apply to and commit your time to. So my next group, building trust. Tell me what you guys talked about.
They may have to take themselves
Damien,
off mute.
Zion, or Faith.
Say that again.
We have Damien, Rubio, Zion, or Faith if they wanted to chime in with their building trust conversation.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're perfect.
Well, we weren't. Well, I wasn't able to tell I wasn't able to discern what the name of our group was, so we didn't really have a discussion. But what I assume what building trust is the ability to gain someone's. Okay, so say you're in a situation where you have to make a decision. Building trust. Okay, well, for me, when I was still working for a particular company, I worked as a secretary, and I had to answer phone calls, and I was screening them. I had to determine whether or not this was something I could handle myself or send over to her. And she depended on my judgment. Would that be building trust? I don't know.
Absolutely. That's a great example.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else from group 2 want to chime in with their thoughts on building trust? You guys are going to make me work for it, but that's okay.
Well, someone wanted to, I think Rubio wanted to say something. He said, due to background noises, I cannot unmute, but I was defined building trust as respecting boundaries of team members and doing the right thing for both parties.
Boundaries. I like that word. Thank you so much. Yes. So building trust, I think one thing that's mentioned in even the example that was given, right? I'm in charge of screening phone calls for this individual. Maybe they trusted you right off the bat. Maybe they took you through training. Maybe that was something that was earned over time. Every individual, even just personally, feels different about trust, right? And how you go in your personal relationships about trust. Very similar in a professional setting, right? In order to build trust, you have to hold your team members accountable, right? If I know that you let everything slide, chances are I'm not going to trust you to do what I need you to do, right, when that time comes. Being able to talk to someone, right? Can I trust you with this thing that I'm going through, or how I feel about this opportunity, or hey, maybe I'm just confused. Can I talk this out with you, right? Think about something like where you've needed a timely response, right? Maybe it was a wedding invitation or a birthday party invitation, or you wanted to go out to dinner with someone, right? I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to be the person where it's like 10 minutes before, like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. No, we want timeliness, right? Especially if it's something like a big project or if there's deadlines to be met. You build trust by meeting those deadlines, by doing the work that's being asked of you, right? Being able to connect, obviously. The one thing I'll say about connection is that we're talking about professional connection. Yes, it is great if you guys both listen to the music that you love, right? Or if you guys eat the same type of food, right? It's great to have those personal connections and it can definitely help. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to work with who's ever on your team. So still try to create some type of connection with each person, even if it is maybe about your favorite in-office snack or something like that, or maybe how you guys like to set up your email inbox. Definitely try to focus more on the professional connection. If the personal connections come, great, but at the end of the day, we're in a professional setting, right? Obviously, honoring commitments, being transparent, right? Things don't always go the way they want. Sometimes things come out of nowhere, like a pandemic, or, like the flu, or maybe your car broke down, or maybe, your internet went out because there was a crazy storm and something happened, right? We understand that things happen, but you have to let somebody know that, right? You have to let somebody know, hey, I'm losing a day of work because I had to walk to Big B Coffee to go get my internet for the day. Can you give me an extra day to get these things done? Just obviously being transparent, obviously being able to push back too. Maybe if you're not satisfied with results, being able to have those professional conversations of, hey, this is what I was hoping for. This is where it's at. How can we work together, or where was the miscommunication? And then obviously just execution. So by doing any and all of these things, you are building trust by being reliable, by being transparent when maybe things don't go right, by being able to have a conversation and talk things through. That is all going to help build trust as a leader and as a teammate. That's super, super important. Developing people, my developing people group. What is on your minds? What were you guys thinking about?
We had some really great insights, and just a quick hello. I'm Mike Larshavec. I'm a career advisor here at SNHU. But Jada and Case both had some really good input, and I've sort of combined their statements into our group statement of a leader should focus on understanding the traits and goals of each individual employee, regardless of their position, background, or level of experience. The focus should be helping them find ways to develop their skills and empowering them to achieve their personal goals and grow their careers.
Thank you. That's much appreciated. I like the individual aspect because, Michael, how you take feedback and how I take feedback might be two totally different ways, right? My career goals, your career goals, we might be on the same team, but we might be working towards different things. So I love that individualized take on developing people. Thank you so much. So we try to break down developing people into 4 areas. Recognition, right? Get to know the people who you're working with. What are their strengths and what are their opportunities? My team would happily tell you that I love data-driven and strategic conversations. I love it. It is my strength. It is what I do best in. However, I have a very large opportunity when it comes to big picture thinking. I am very good at specific tasks and specific details and specific execution. I struggle a lot when it comes to larger picture thinking. My team knows this about me. I also have the self-recognition about this, about my traits, but being able to understand, hey, if I'm doing this networking event, my teammate Eric is fantastic at networking. He would be a great person to bring. Or maybe looking at another teammate of mine and saying, hey, I know that public speaking is an opportunity that they're trying to work on. I have this public speaking event coming up. Let me see if they want to shadow, or maybe if I want to give them a slide or two to give them a chance to work on that. So really getting to know the people and recognizing where are they great at, where are their opportunities. Giving feedback. This is, for me, the toughest part because, right, I don't want anyone to be offended by what I say or upset with me for giving feedback. I'm scared of the reaction, right? I want to be liked. I want people to be excited to work with me. But if I am truly going to make my team better, I need to give feedback, just like I also need to be able to receive feedback too. What we mean by proactive feedback and reactive feedback is in the proactive space, we can very clearly lay out, hey, Alyssa, I'm starting to notice this trend. I think there's an opportunity for you to work on this overall, right? That kind of goes in line with those opportunities of being proactive. Alyssa, I know you're struggling with public speaking. Here's a few trainings laid out that I think will really help you get better at that and feel more comfortable there. Reactive feedback is in the space of, we went to this event, Alyssa, you struggled with it, or there was a mistake, or you turned in this report, this was missing. So reactive is more so, hey, I'm reacting to this event that happened. Here is feedback based on this one incident. Whereas proactive is going to be more so, hey, I understand this is something you're trying to work on. Let me give you some advice and tips and resources. Now, one thing I will say about feedback that I think is very, very important, and I mentioned it with Michael, everyone takes feedback differently. They want it delivered to them differently, and they need it in a different way. Me personally, I have told my leader, I want feedback at the end of the day. I do not want it in the morning because I am the type of person who will think about it the rest of the day. So I want you to give that to me towards the end of the day so that I can process it, but then I can also log off, eat dinner, sleep on it, and essentially work through that. If you tell me at the beginning of the day is lost for me, that is all I'm going to be thinking about throughout the day. So getting to know those things about your teammates, again, is just going to be super, super helpful. I'm also someone who likes to talk it through. If you send me back a document with a bunch of edits and we don't talk it through, that's not going to work for me. I'm someone who needs to be walked through different things. So, right, it's in regards to how someone visually takes it. It's in regards to how someone can obviously emotionally react to it. So just be aware that as you're either giving or receiving feedback, feel free to set those boundaries for yourself, but also be respectful of other people's boundaries. Setting clear expectations, right? So if you're working on development, okay, what does development actually mean, right? Does that mean I'm attending 3 trainings over the course of the quarter? Does that mean that I am going to maybe take a certification test, right? Maybe it's an expectation of learning a new skill. What essentially am I going to work on? And how can I very clearly obtain that, which means an actionable goal. It's not something lofty. It's something that I can clearly state at the end of a time frame. I did meet this. I did not meet this. I met 50% of this. What does that actually look like? So this is essentially how we look at developing people from our lens. Thinking strategically. What did my thinking strategically group come up with?
Yeah,
Alyssa, I
Pamela.
got.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I just
You
saw
had some
something in the
chats?
chat. Yeah, something in the chat. I don't know if it spoke earlier, but it said understanding that feedback is given to help us develop employees as a professional is one characteristic of being a great leader. Each person is different, so being a leader also means knowing your fellow employees so that feedback is positively received by everyone so that the whole team can grow and achieve strategic goals.
Snaps. That is absolutely correct. That's actually when my team, we had a leader change about 1.5 years ago. And one of the ways my team went about it is my team leader actually did a new questionnaire when he joined the team to ask us, how did we want feedback? So yeah, that's just one tip if you're like becoming a leader of a new team, or maybe you're going into a group project, right? Just level setting and being like, all right, who wants to be given feedback in which way, shape, or form? So that's right on point. And Dana, who did you have for our Thinking Strategically group?
Yeah, so I had Pamela, Ciara, and Samuel. So they had some great conversation. If they're comfortable with me sharing that from their breakout room chat, I'd be happy to do so. Or oh, perfect. All right. so Samuel mentioned thinking several steps ahead and of how your actions affect the outcome is essential for any plan or activity. And also, if you start an operation without planning it properly, it can lead to delays and cost increases, or in some cases, injury. So that was from Samuel. And then Pamela also mentioned being able to think strategically can make or break a team. And in her work as a medical assistant, it's important to think on your feet and in a way that makes sense, as well as, let's see, a leader that directed from room to room, again, with the medical assistant context, a more complex patient prior to someone that would be more simple, so they could get stuck in the office longer due to not thinking about two sets. So, being able to think about that kind of priority too in strategic thinking.
I like that. So going in with a plan, right? We talked about that 3 steps ahead, trying to think ahead, but also being able to flip on the dime when things change, a different patient comes in, something changes, right? Business is constantly changing, whether it's in the medical field, whether it's in the loan industry, right? Which is where we're at. It's in the university industry, right? One time, you guys have always been virtual, but for some students, right, they were used to going to an in-person experience and then flipping the dime and having to go completely remote. So I love the fact that we thought about going in with this plan, but also being able to switch up how we're thinking.
One more, Alyssa, it was
Yeah.
thinking strategic, I can't even say it. Thinking strategically means, where did it go? What you're ultimately trying to accomplish. That's what it means, what you're ultimately trying to accomplish.
At the end of the day, what are we working towards, right? If I had one thing that I want you all to leave with here today, it's that you would feel more confident in understanding your personal leadership. That would be me and my clear goal. Now, obviously, there's 18 slides here that are going to walk us through that, but hopefully you guys can always keep that goal in mind. And I think that's also very, very important. So making these informed decisions. Someone mentioned cost earlier too. That's a great aspect of it. The people piece, right? Like the buy-in from the team. How can we do this strategically and efficiently, but still make sure that everyone's on board? That goal, that clear understanding, what is the business trying to accomplish here? Are they trying to accomplish a diversified pipeline? Are they trying to accomplish a higher profit margin? What is it that they are trying to accomplish? And understanding that you do not always have to be the expert. And chances are you're not always going to be the expert. So bringing in people with different outlooks, different titles, bringing in that cross functionality to make sure that the decisions that you end up coming up with don't just work for your team, but they also work for the teams that are also going to be affected. Taking the time to do the brainstorming, the planning, the execution. We have a saying that's called take the roast out of the oven. And essentially what that means is that it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you keep waiting for perfection, things will keep getting pushed back. But on the reverse side of that, you don't want to take it out too soon, right? You don't want that rare prime rib or whatever it is, the roast that you're trying to take out, right? You want a well-cooked roast. So giving yourself the time to plan and to execute is very important, but also not just doing those steps just to keep doing them and to push off decisions being made. Understanding the methods that foster creativity. I love a good brainstorming session on a whiteboard. It is one of my favorite things and one of my favorite times a year when my team gets to do a deep dive and go through a whiteboarding session. Some of my teammates, it's not their way of thinking. So while I know that that works for me, I also understand that doesn't work for everybody else. So maybe it's using a sticky note on your laptop. I don't know if you guys have that, but our laptops have the sticky note app where we're just able to pull up sticky notes and write down our thoughts and then share those. So just making sure that, again, it's not just about you and your lane, but it's about bringing in these other ways of thinking and these other areas that will be affected by the decisions. And then obviously, when those roadblocks appear, when those things change on a dime, being the leader to get your team through that. Being able to say, hey guys, I know this does not help us. Here's how we're still going to pivot. Or hey guys, here's this new opportunity. Let's see what we can do with this and how this is going to affect our team. So I really like your guys' examples. I think we're right on the same page there. But I think the biggest thing is understanding that you go in with a plan, you go in to involve a whole bunch of other individuals, but also being able to change based on the information that you're receiving and based on the feedback that you're receiving.
I got a question for you, Alyssa.
Yes.
Leah asked the question, does rocket companies use Kinban boards or other lean tools?
I am not familiar with that terminology, so my guess is going to be no. I know you mentioned lean tools. If I'm pulling from my engineering brain, I think that's more of a manufacturing thing, right? I don't quite know, to be honest. So I apologize, I don't have an exact answer for you. I know our technology teams use agile methodology, so they work in like 2-week sprints to put out new technology updates and things like that, but I'm not familiar with lean technology. So I apologize, I don't think I have the appropriate answer. All right, moving into communicating effectively. Where is my communicating effectively group at?
I'm not sure if that group, I don't see much discussion there in that breakout room.
All
But if
right,
anyone wants to chime in the chat or on
yeah,
your
anyone
mic,
from
feel
the
free to jump
crowd.
in.
The crowd is more than welcome to come to the present stage.
I'll just add that I did a communications module, training professional development module that we have available to us. And there was some really great stuff in it. One of the things they talked about is how different types of things that need to be communicated should be communicated through different channels. So some things really should be communicated face to face or possibly even face to face through a Teams meeting, but not through an email or not through a text, let's say. And so depending upon what it is that needs to be communicated, that different channels for communicating are sometimes more appropriate than others. I thought that was an interesting aspect of communicating effectively.
Yep, the meme that says that's a meeting that could have been an email, right? Or vice versa, right? The email that I needed way more direction on that should have been a meeting, right? No, the methodology of communication is super, super important. And that's where this really leads into, right? Recognizing how your words, your tone, and your physiology impact, right? You think about a methodology like a text or an email, you are completely taking away tone and physiology. So someone may read into a period a certain way. They may read into an exclamation point a certain way because all you have are words. Then you think about an opportunity like this, right? Tone and physiology are pretty important, especially because you guys are with me for an hour. So if my tone and physiology are not top notch, you guys are going to lose interest real quick, and rocket companies might not be attractive to you because you wouldn't want to work with a boring presenter, right? Or whatever it might be. Speaking very clearly in a way that obviously engages the audience. This piece, I think, is probably one of the toughest parts for me personally, is the keeping a cool head and open mind under pressure. When you have put everything into a project and you are so excited about it, it can be really tough when you get dinged on that or when someone immediately has feedback. So this one is probably one of those biggest ones where I recommend to sleep on it, take your 24 hours before obviously coming back to that conversation if need be. But it's super important in regards to how you respond. And it's okay to say, hey, to be honest, I wasn't expecting this type of communication. Do you mind if I take a day to get back to you? There's nothing wrong with that, right? We know sometimes when we give feedback that might be hard to hear and it might be tough to accept. So yes, absolutely. But make sure in that moment you're able to obviously keep a cool head. This one goes very closely with thinking strategically, painting that vision, right? What are we working towards and how are we going to get there? But But essentially at the end of the day, this is all about gaining buy-in and essentially alignment for how we're going to continue forward, right? What is our email communication? What is our meeting reoccurrence? My team, we meet on a weekly basis and have weekly one-on-ones, but my larger team under my director, we meet on a bi-weekly cadence, right? So what does that effective communication look like is going to very much so depend team to team and obviously project to project. So I have a quick debrief for you guys. We had those 5 antes. I want you guys to rank those 5 antes and throw them in the chat as they relate to your preferred leadership style. So I am going to go back a few slides so that you guys can see all of them. And it might take my laptop a second to do this, but I want you guys to think, when you start working for a leader, what is the most important one for them to do with you as a teammate? That is how I want you guys to rank these. If you are just getting a new leader, oh, I went a little too far. You just got a new leader. How are you going to buy into their leadership style? Give me that ranking from 1 to 5 in regards to what is the most important for you, and in regards to what you would say is the 5th. So I will give you guys my personal example to hopefully help you out. I will buy into a leader if they can give me a strategy. If they can say, this is what we are working towards, and this is how you execute, I am immediately on board. All of these other things follow suit for me, because for me, I will not trust you without a strategy. I will not feel comfortable communicating with you until I have a strategy. So for me, number 1 is thinking strategically. That is by far my number 1 aspect. So Leonard, you don't have to read them out loud, but are we starting to see people's 5 come through the chat?
Communicating effectively is pretty high up there.
For a lot
Yeah.
of people.
For sure. Building trust.
Perfect. So the reason why I'm having you guys do this is because as you guys go into full-time jobs, as you go into internships, as you start to work into group projects, what a great way to level set that relationship of telling someone, hey, this is what I need from you in order for us to have this great leader team member relationship, right? As soon as I know, I think you mentioned communicating effectively, right? As soon as I can clearly understand what you're saying and I can clearly communicate back, you've got me bought in. Now I'm ready to see how you're going to, what your strategy is and what the culture looks like. Every single person's different, but that's just going to be such a huge way to enter into a relationship of, hey, this is what I need from you, and this is how I'm going to be bought in, and you will have me here if you can give me this. It's also a great way to level set if you're happy or not, right? When it comes to a position or an opportunity, because then you can say, hey, at the end of the day, is there a strategy? Is that really my number 1? So hopefully that helps you guys. As someone mentioned earlier, thinking about you and your personal leadership style, hopefully that will help you in understanding what you need from leaders as you see. But hopefully there's also some internal reflection. So go ahead and throw in the chat something that we talked about today that you think you can work on to be a better leader or a better teammate yourself. So the first exercise was more so about you gain a leader, how to improve that relationship. This is more so about that internal reflection of how can I be a better leader myself.
I think Zion put in the chat, he put communication style of leadership plans overall, and to develop management style overall priorities.
Yes, absolutely. Someone mentioned servant leadership earlier. That's a great management technique.
It's like someone agrees with you thinking strategically.
My poor leader.
I know one that was huge. I see this on the list. Building trust is key.
Absolutely.
I know that's something we predicated on in the service, like military. You got to build trust among leaders because the mission, if you can't, that's a big one. That's a
Yeah,
big one.
your
So it
life
just
depends
depends
on
on
someone else.
exactly. So it depends on the organizational structure and what you're part of.
100%.
Developing good people from Pamela.
Love that. All right, guys, I know we are coming up on time here, and I obviously want to honor and respect your guys' time. In case anyone didn't get the QR code at the beginning, if you guys could please fill out that attendance sheet, that would be much appreciated. My contact information is here for you guys as well. So if there's any follow-up questions you guys have, by all means, please feel free to send those my way. But I do want to take the next couple of minutes that if there's any questions that came through during this time that we weren't able to get through, please feel free to go ahead and ask.
I know we had a couple earlier. I'd be happy to address those again. One being, what sets the leadership apart at rocket companies compared to other companies?
Yes. So I really think that it is that we have quite literally broken it down into something that we can present on. Those isms really are our driving factor overall as well. So it's just super, super important that as a leader, I can come to you and count on you for these 5 things. We also give feedback to leadership as well. So not only does leadership give us feedback, we also deliver that back to them too in a few different surveys and essentially group discussions as well.
Awesome. And then another was, would love to hear how rocket companies considers candidates with no experience.
Yeah, so I think putting yourself in a no experience bucket can be very dangerous because you are enrolled in a university. There is experience in that. It's in the classroom, it's in your projects. If you're part of a student organization, it's in the student organization. And it's also in experiences that maybe you don't look at as experience, right? My least favorite thing is when a candidate tells me that they were just something. Well, I was just a waitress. I was just a golf caddy. Well, any experience that was tied to customer service, that was tied to, time management, you just took those all away by saying just. So I would just say really evaluate the experiences that you do have, because for most individuals, chances are you do have experience. You might just not be looking at it in that lens of soft skills, or it's just in the classroom. It's in a different, unique way. It's in the military. It's in sports. It just might not be what some might consider like a typical internship, right?
Absolutely. Lots of skills that we just do every day and don't realize that's experience, right? So
Yes.
I love that. I had a couple of other people also mention if they could get that QR code again that they send their resume to for that sign-in sheet.
Yes. Let me go ahead. Oh, I wonder if I throw it in the chat, is it, I don't know if you guys can, let me try it with my phone, see if it's gonna work that way. So it looks like it still works that way from the phone to Teams. So hopefully that works for everyone.
Super helpful. Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. If you guys had any questions, like I said, feel free to either shoot me an email, reach out to me on LinkedIn. It was a pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Alyssa. It was great. The one comment I had is it's hard to take those 5 and put any of them at the bottom, but thanks for sharing. It's great to hear how other companies think about leadership and some great tips for everyone tonight. So thanks again.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Everyone have a
Alyssa.
wonderful night. Thank you,
Yeah,
Leonard.
thanks everyone came. Thank you, teammates, for being here. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye,
Have
Mark.
a great one.
Bye. Good night.